Hey, welcome everybody. Joseph Varghese here from Hack Your Focus. I'm here with my friend Ali, Dr. Ali Benazir, and we're going to connect with each of you about the topic of mastering focus, but beyond that, really about happiness engineering, which is Ali's passion. Dr. Ali is the happiness engineer, and Ali, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, JB.
Awesome, great to have you. Great to connect. And so, just how the show works, we're going to do 20 minutes. Kind of honoring Dr. Pareto's principle. And the whole idea of that is that for our podcast, we interview exceptional leaders in the space of really mastering focus, really mastering authenticity, really, showing it powerfully. And just 20 minutes of time today for our session. And Ali and I actually met some 16 years ago under a different setting here in New York. And had a chance to kind of watch him over the years on his journey. He's kind of been a master across different levels of growth. And his passion from my last discussion with him is about engineering happiness. And he calls himself the happiness engineer. Why that connects with me is because I'm also an engineer. And I just love the whole idea of hacking, ourselves, hacking our ability to perform, hacking our ability to be happy and fulfilled. So Ali talked to us about that. So what's involved with happiness engineering?
Well, really, it should be called anti-misery engineering because what I've noticed over the past few years of seeing all these friends of mine who are very affluent, very accomplished, and frankly have everything that one would need in life. They have food, they have shelter, they have clothing, and they have cars, they have friends. What I've noticed is that people have inadvertently engineered misery into their lives. And this stuff can be really insidious, such that you don't even notice that it's happening. So for example, one of the biggest things you can do to reduce the amount of happiness in your life is to prioritize career over friendships and relationships. And all the research shows pretty much definitively across the board that the most important determinant of your long-term well-being and happiness in life is relationships. And yet people are like, hey, I'm gunning for VP. I'm sorry I can't come home for dinner on time. Or they go on some business trip, they can't see their kids. Or they can't schedule time with their friends to see them. I mean, I don't know about you, but it seems like my friends are in a state of perpetual emergency such that they can't hang out with me. So where's spontaneity? Where's the dinner gatherings? Where's the casual lunch gathering? So it's really important to be very deliberate about this and actually engineer it into your life, hence happiness engineering. So what I recommend, for example, in the relationships department is to have a designated day of the week where you make a concerted effort to meet up with friends in casual, open-ended circumstances. I call it Friends Day Wednesday. Middle of the week, Wednesday, rhymes with friends. Hey, why not? So that way it's baked into your schedule. There are all these things that you don't really want to be doing with your life, but they're on your schedule, so you do them. So how about taking the stuff that you really want to do in your life and putting those in the schedule so they get done too? And if you're in a relationship party, you're married, or you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, what I recommend is the novelty night. Not just a date night, but a novelty night. Because the most common thing that happens in relationships is people start to take each other for granted. Here's this person who is like super interesting, totally exotic. You want to spend all your time with them, right? Then you get married. It's like, oh yeah, you're just the furniture. So you need to make your partner feel like they have a bigger priority in life than just furniture. And the way you do that, well, I mean, that's also the way the neurology works. When you see people enough times, they become familiar, you start taking them for granted. So what you want to do is you want to engage in novel activities together. And all you have to do is sit down for 15, 20 minutes a week and figure out, okay, one day a week, designate a day, keep it there. We're going to do something new. We're going to take scuba lessons. We're going to go to a cooking class. We're going to go watch an unusual movie together. We're going to go hike in a part of town we've never been to before. It doesn't have to be crazy. It just has to be new. And there's an infinite supply of novel things to do. However, it does require a little bit of effort. So the whole idea of, oh, we're now together, therefore I don't have to put any effort in the relationship, it's kind of like fitness, right? It's like saying,
Absolutely.
I worked out in January 2017. I'm good. I don't have to do that anymore. No, you have to keep on doing it. And once every 7 days, once a week is a good interval to kind of renew the dopamine, because dopamine is the chemical of kind of attraction and reward. And when you do novel things, that's the fastest, most reliable way of producing dopamine in your head. So there's a bunch of other ways to counteract the misery-inducing effects of modern living. So, for example, 80% of Americans, they have jobs that they're not happy at. So what are you going to do about that? So you can job craft within your job. You can add meaning to your job and say, hey, am I a bricklayer? Am I a building builder? Am I building a cathedral? There's the old story about, the three bricklayers somebody comes up to. And if you have in your mind that, you're not just doing a job, but you have a calling, that makes a big difference. Or you can go be an entrepreneur like you are, and that way you're doing something that's actually close to your heart. So that's an introduction. So there's 5 different areas that I focus on, and there's 5, which within each one there's like 2 to 4 things that I recommend people do that makes a big shift in their lives. And they're actually relatively simple fixes. It doesn't require like a complete wholesale change of your life.
What brought you into this like form of change? Was it your own life where you experienced burnout? Because I mean, you've accomplished a lot. You've ventured into different careers over the past couple decades. So talk to us.
Yeah, well, I was trained as a physician, and what I noticed was that much of modern medicine deals with ill-being, not with well-being. And I've always been interested in how can you make people well and robust such that they don't get sick in the first place. So how do you keep them from eating Doritos and Big Macs such that they're healthy and happy to start? How do you get them to nurture the relationship so they're strong in their mind and have robust relationships? How do you get them to sleep well so they don't have all the negative side effects of being sleep deprived, which is most Americans today? How do you get them to eat right and exercise such that they can forestall a whole host of health issues and well-being issues that will come from just being sedentary or not working out? So I'm interested in health, and as a clinical hypnotherapist, as a physician, this is, I think, a much higher return on investment than taking care of people once they've already had a heart attack, once they're already 90 pounds overweight, once they've already had their second divorce.
Got it. It is formulaic, wouldn't you say? Like if you apply something about 20 years ago, I remember my fridge in where I used to live, I used to have like a little whiteboard, and it had different foods that would like lead to different ways of being, right?
Yeah.
Like if I want to have better skin, I'd kind of eat Brazil nuts, or if I wanted to build my immune system, I'd eat this, or I'd eat avocados for this, and for any day of the week, if I was choosing to focus on like growing, in some different area in terms of my mental well-being, I'd kind of follow that checklist in terms of the foods I consumed. And I like the way I appreciate your TED Talk, because you talk about this kind of formula as far as connection goes, right? Relationships, and really tapping into that. And you mentioned before too, if you're in a relationship for your date night, mix things up. And so as an engineer, do you see this as being kind of a formula? Can someone follow a formula where they do something on a consistent basis? You talk about sleep too, consistent sleep on like going to bed and waking up at the same time each day in a colder room.
Formulas and habits are the only way this is going to work. If you're going to leave this to something like willpower or, I'll remember to do that, then it's never going to happen, because you already have habits in place that are taking you away from that optimal course. So what you want to do is you want to make it super simple, and you want to turn it into a habit such that you don't have to think about it anymore. So for example, you want to eat well. Well, just make sure there is nothing that is not good food in your fridge.
Yeah.
So have no tubs of Haagen-Dazs in there. Have no greasy fries in there, and make sure you eat at home. So I wrote an article recently called 9 simple ways of staying slim forever. And the idea is that you have rules and you have habits, and that way you don't have to think and you don't have to use willpower, because thinking and willpower, that's just a formula for failure. So the rule, for example, for me is I don't eat out, right? So when you eat out, you have these entities called restaurants that have a vested interest in your coming back at their place and spending money there. So their vested interest is not in keeping you healthy. So they will add sugar, they will add salt, they will add fat, so the food is super tasty, so you'll come back, right? Whereas you want to be healthy and you want to remain that way. So we're talking misaligned incentives here. So what do? You institute a rule, don't eat out. And that means that you will eat out every once in a while, but instead of doing it like 5 times a week, maybe you do it once a week, right? Another rule that I found very useful is anytime you see stairs, take them. So if it's less than 5 stories, just take the stairs. If it's less than 20 minutes, walk. So when you do that, you will move. And the body's designed for movement. This is how you burn extra calories. And this is how you maintain that baseline level of fitness and motion that's required for good health. So the simple rules, they make a big difference. And I also am a big fan of the never rule. So for example, one of my rules is never eat dessert. And that means that maybe once a month you'll end up eating dessert because, oh my God, look at that chocolate mousse cake. And I'm also in Austria. This is where they make the best kind. Sure, I'll try it once, right? But when you have the never rule, that means you're changing at the level of identity. I'm a non-dessert eater. I'm the kind of person who doesn't eat dessert. Hey, you want some dessert? No, sorry, I don't do that, right? And that becomes a lot easier than deciding on a case-by-case basis, oh, well, this dessert is okay, this one's not good. No, just think of dessert as poison, and then you won't eat it, and then you're a non-dessert eater. And I'm sure a lot of people out there like their dessert, they like chocolate cake, but if you do the math, eating dessert even once a day is enough to put 20 pounds of extra weight on your body per year. So that's the trade-off, right? And the beauty of not eating something like dessert is that after a while, it's something like cheesecake or chocolate cake or just most desserts. They're so rich that there's nothing in nature that is that rich. There's nothing in nature that's that sweet. So they're actually overwhelming your senses. So if you stop eating really sweet things for a couple of weeks, you will lose your appetite for them. When you have just a little bit, it's like, it's too much. It's cloying. It's almost gross. I can't eat most desserts now because it's like, oh, too much, right? So you have rules, you have habits, and these become kind of a formulaic way of going about life. So you don't have to think and you don't have to decide.
So how do you set these rules where they inspire you? Like, how do you kind of create an environment? So, I mean, let's say obviously someone's not going to go attack all different areas of life, right? They're going to focus on 1 or 2 areas early on.
Yeah,
how do they kind of, like, for me, it's kind of about, I've got an environment. I actually have a gratitude board on one side of my room over here. There are things that I do in my environment that kind of inspire me to like take certain actions and so forth. What do you recommend? Let's say someone's out to like lose weight as a previous example.
Yeah. So first of all, losing weight is a losing proposition because nobody likes to wait and nobody likes to lose anything ever. So you want to rephrase that in your brain so your brain doesn't resist it from get-go. And something like shed mass, get slim, stay slim. Second, actually dropping mass from your body is also a losing proposition. You're much more likely to recover from cancer. So focus on maintaining whatever you are now, establish new habits, and gradually the weight will come off. Or at least you'll be healthy, right? So if you're eating well for the next 10 years, but you're the same weight you are right now, you're going to be a hell of a lot healthier than if you're eating crap and you're 20 pounds heavier than you are right now. So let's just start with maintaining what you have right now, putting in exercise, regular exercise, movement, and eating right. So the key to doing all this stuff is, one is gradualism. You want to do it really, really slowly. So if you want to start an exercise program, tell yourself, I'm going to do 1 push-up per day if you're starting from 0, right? And what happens is you do that 1 push-up and you're like, I could do like 2 more. And you're doing 3. Next day you're doing 10. Next day you're doing push-ups and maybe some knee-ups and maybe some sit-ups. Next thing you know, you're exercising 7 minutes a day. There's a 7-minute workout app, which I highly recommend, by Johnson & Johnson. So you start there and then you build on it. But the key thing is to get that, small habit started and make it really easy for your brain. If you make it some insurmountable obstacle that seems too big, it's like, I'm going to run a marathon through it. No, screw the marathon. Start with 1 push-up. So, and then the second thing is environmental fixes. So some people, in order to get running in the morning, they just go to bed in their running outfit and they wake up. It's like, boom. What you want to do is you want to reduce the activation energy. Everything in nature, every reaction that happens spontaneously in nature starts out with it needs a little oomph. Even if you have a match wants to be on fire, but in order to get it to burn, you have to strike it first. That's the activation energy. So what you want to do is you want to reduce the activation energy as much as possible so we can go over that hump and do the thing you want to do anyway. So put your shoes right next to your bed. Make sure you have cut carrots and celery in the fridge at all times. Make sure you have no junk food in your fridge at all times. Don't purchase junk food at the store at all. you want to go out with your spouse once a week, put it on the calendar a week beforehand, a month beforehand, line it up such that it's just part of your habit. So what you want, so you start small, you create the environment, and you put it on the calendar. These 3 tools are super potent, and there's apps for it too. There's apps like Momentum, where you basically put in the things you want to be doing every day, and then you check it off, and you see like a chain, and you want to not break the chain. So whatever hack works for you, do it. Having an accountability partner, so running by yourself is one thing. Having 2 people waiting for you, that's a completely different proposition. So if you have at least one person that you're accountable to, a little bit of shame, a little bit of embarrassment goes a long way. So that's how you kind of create the environment such that the new habits you want to have become much easier to do.
Really well said. You kind of covered a whole lot there just now. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm a big believer in accountability and momentum, especially the whole idea of that. And what are your thoughts on the compound effects? You talk about doing 1 sit-up per day and kind of maybe increasing that over time. Eventually get stronger, right? And your identity starts shifting too as well. Also.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This community that I organize called Success Circles, and it's kind of related to Hack Your Focus. And it's a peer coaching community. And one thing we do is we designate individuals as being peak performance athletes as their identity. So I actually acknowledge them as being athletes, from the start, from the get-go. And it just inspires us to kind of be better at that. And to your point before also, as far as we see yourself as, losing mass, if you're focusing on that, then, it's kind of a never ending cycle of sorts where you're kind of going through life doing that versus if you see yourself as an athlete, or if you see yourself as, like a genius, let's say, for that matter, which is a matter of kind of tapping and stepping up and really improving on that. Right.
Yeah, the identity level change is huge. And the idea is that, look, I'm a non-smoker, therefore I can't even smoke. I can't even think about it, right? So you want to think, yes, I'm an athlete, therefore I take stairs whenever I see them. So that becomes kind of the cornerstone of building habits on habits and making it a virtuous cycle such that everything that you do it just feels good. And it doesn't require effort anymore because, hey, this is part of my new identity. And what you mentioned about the success circles is key too, which is that cohort matters. The people that you associate with matters. So there's a famous study by Nick Christakis, and he found that if you had a friend who was obese, that made you 41% more likely to be obese. I'm fudging the numbers more or less, but it's like around 40% more likely. If that friend of a friend was obese, you became 19% more likely to be obese as well. Same thing went for smoking. If like a friend of a friend quit, there's a 15% chance that you would quit. So we're always embedded in these networks, and there's all these unconscious effects that these networks are having on us. So join the group of people that you want to be like, right? So if you join a bunch of swindlers and you think, oh, that's not going to contaminate me, I got news for you. You're going to become a swindler.
You will.
A bunch of people who are super fit, friendly, happy, warm. Guess what? Chances are you're going to become super fit, friendly, happy, warm as well. So embed yourself in the networks that already have the qualities that you're looking for, and you're much more likely to adopt those qualities as well.
Very well said. Awesome. Great. So Ali, how do people find out more about you?
Well, a couple of resources. So happinessengineering.com is where I have my articles about happiness, and also where I'll be putting up my course for happiness and the book for happiness, which I'm hoping comes out in 2019. Awesome. And taoofdating.com. So taoofdating.com. That's my site about, well, dating. And it's mostly geared toward women. However, there's older articles from a few years ago that are for men. So hopefully you can find there something that can solve your problem. Especially, I'm particularly recommend for people who have gone through a breakup. There's an article there called "How to Get Over a Breakup," Industrial Strength Edition. So those are the two main resources. And then there's a course on Udemy called $1 Trillion Speaking. So I'm also a public speaking coach. So if people go there and they enter the code trillion, then they get a discount for listening to your show, and they can sign up and become a $1 trillion speaker, because billions are so 2017.
Exactly. Love it. If you go to nypt.info/charisma, It'll forward you to that link, or you can just Google search Ali Binazir's name online with the word speaking. You'll find it easily. And it's been really great connecting with you again. Really love the path you're on as far as making an impact on the world, and really, really good stuff, brother. Awesome.
Thanks for having me, JB. I hope these 20 minutes have been useful for your audience.
They will indeed.
And please email me. I'm at dralib@talibdating.com or ali@happinessengineering.com.
Fantastic. Keep up the good work, my friend. Awesome.